Thor, the mighty Norse god of thunder, was not only known for his immense strength, but also for his fierce determination. With his hammer, Mjolnir, in hand, Thor was a force feared by many. He had defended Asgard, the realm of the gods, countless times, but like all great warriors, Thor sought new challenges to prove himself. One day, word came to him about Jotunheim, the land of the giants. These were no ordinary giants. They were cunning, powerful, and known to test even the mightiest gods. The tales of their strength stirred something within Thor. Fueled by pride and a desire to prove once and for all that he was the greatest, Thor decided to journey to Jotunheim. His brother Loki, the trickster god, offered to join him, knowing that wherever Thor went, chaos and adventure were sure to follow. Two servants, Thialfi and Roskva, accompanied them as well. The group set off from Asgard, traveling through dangerous lands toward the realm of the giants. Thor's heart was filled with confidence, ready to meet any challenge head-on. As they approached Jotunheim, the landscape changed. The mountains grew taller, the forests denser, and the sky darker. The air itself seemed to buzz with anticipation. Thor's heart raced, not from fear, but from excitement. This would be the greatest test of his strength yet, and he was ready to show the giants just how powerful the god of thunder could be. Thor and his companions arrived at the grand hall of Utgard, the stronghold of the giants. They were greeted by Utgard Loki, the king of the giants, who seemed unimpressed by the arrival of the god of thunder. Thor, eager to prove his might, boasted of his strength, claiming that no challenge was too great for him. Utgard Loki, with a sly smile, agreed to test Thor's abilities, but the challenges were not what Thor expected. The first challenge seemed simple. Thor was asked to lift a cat that lounged lazily in the middle of the hall. To Thor, this task seemed almost insulting. How could such a simple creature be a challenge to him? He strode confidently toward the cat and grasped it firmly. However, when he tried to lift it, he found the task far more difficult than he had imagined. Thor pulled and strained, using all his strength, but the cat barely moved. He managed to lift one paw off the ground, but no more. His face grew red with effort, and the giants began to chuckle at his struggle. Thor's pride was stung. How could this be happening? How could he, the mighty Thor, be defeated by a mere cat? The laughter of the giants echoed around him, but Thor refused to give up. He pulled again with all his might, but the result was the same. One paw lifted, no more. Humiliated, Thor released the cat and stepped back, his mind racing. What trickery was this? How could a god like him be bested by such a creature? He looked to Utgard Loki, who offered no explanation, only a mocking smile. This was just the beginning. Frustrated but undeterred by his failure with the cat, Thor demanded another challenge, eager to redeem himself. Utgard Loki agreed, offering what seemed like an even easier task. Thor was to wrestle an old woman. Thor hesitated. Wrestling an elderly woman hardly seemed like a challenge fit for a god of his stature, but his pride would not allow him to refuse. The old woman, frail and bent with age, stepped forward. Her eyes gleamed with an unsettling wisdom. Thor, though filled with confidence, couldn't help but feel a strange unease. He grasped her arm and prepared to throw her to the ground. To his shock, the old woman's strength was greater than it appeared. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move her. Thor pushed harder, using every ounce of his godly might, but the old woman stood firm. In fact, as they struggled, she seemed to grow stronger. Thor's muscles burned, his grip tightened, but nothing he did could overpower her. It was as if he was wrestling something far greater than mere flesh and bone. Exhausted and bewildered, Thor finally had to admit defeat. He stepped back, his mind spinning. How could this be? He had faced giants, monsters, and dragons, but an old woman had bested him. He didn't understand, but something deep inside told him that this was no ordinary opponent. There was something timeless and inevitable about her strength. After Thor's struggles, Utgard Loki, sensing the god's frustration and confusion, finally revealed the truth. The challenges had been illusions, clever deceptions designed to test more than just physical strength. The cat Thor had tried to lift, it wasn't just any cat. It was, in fact, the great Midgard Serpent, so massive that it encircled the entire world. The fact that Thor had lifted even one paw was a remarkable feat. No mortal or god had ever come so close to lifting such a creature. As for the old woman, she was not an ordinary opponent either. She was old age itself. No one, not even the gods, could defeat her. The inevitability of aging and the passage of time were forces that no amount of strength could overcome. Thor had been battling something beyond even his comprehension, something that not even the gods could control. Utgard Loki's words stung, but they also brought clarity. Thor had been deceived, yes, but the lessons were profound. There were forces in the universe even a god of thunder could not conquer. Strength had its limits. As Thor listened to Utgard Loki's explanations, his anger slowly gave way to understanding. For the first time in his life, Thor realized that there were challenges in the world that could not be overcome by brute strength alone. His failure to lift the cat and his defeat by the old woman were not a reflection of his weakness, but rather a testament to the forces that ruled over even the gods. Thor, usually quick to anger and prone to solving problems with his hammer, took a moment to reflect. His strength, which had always been his greatest asset, had been rendered useless in the face of these challenges. The realization humbled him. There were powers in the universe, time, age, fate, that even the mightiest god could not bend to his will. This journey had taught him that strength alone was not enough to face every challenge. Sometimes, understanding and acceptance were the only answers. Thor, for all his might, had been shown that even the gods must bow to the natural order of things. Though Thor had been bested in Jotunheim, he returned to Asgard not as a defeated god, but as one who had learned a valuable lesson. The trials in the land of the giants had not been about physical strength alone. They had tested his understanding of the world, of the forces that governed even the gods themselves. As Thor and his companions made their way back to Asgard, the god of thunder carried with him a new sense of humility. He had been reminded that, despite his immense power, there were limits to what he could achieve. Strength was important, but wisdom and the acceptance of one's limitations were equally crucial. The journey to Jotunheim had not been a failure. It had been a test of Thor's character, one that he had passed in a way he had not expected. He had gained something far more valuable than a simple victory over the giants. He had gained insight into the nature of the universe and his place within it. Thor's journey to Jotunheim became one of the most famous tales in Norse mythology. It was a story not just of strength, but of humility, of the realization that even gods must face the limits of their power. Thor, the mighty god of thunder, had been shown that there were forces far greater than he could control: time, fate, and the inevitable march of age. The story of Thor's journey to Jotunheim reminds us all that no matter how strong or powerful we may be, there are forces in life that cannot be defeated. The lessons Thor learned resonate through the ages, teaching us that strength must be paired with wisdom, and that accepting our limitations is sometimes the greatest strength of all. In the end, Thor's adventure wasn't about defeating giants. It was about understanding himself, his limits, and the vast, uncontrollable forces that govern the world. His trials in Jotunheim proved that even the gods must bow to the power of nature and fate.